It's time now for our main event as Budweiser, the king of beers, presents USA's Tuesday night fights, and tonight's scheduled for 10. Former world heavyweight champion Larry Holmes against upset-minded Garing Lane. For Larry Holmes, he's come to the inevitable conclusion that a title shot may never be offered again. But for this proud former great heavyweight champion, there is still the desire to show his fans and critics that despite his age, he remains one of the sport's bright stars. He offers his last fight against Jose Revolta as evidence.
I wanted to show that I still can fight. It's the thing about boxing, though. You show too good, nobody's gonna fight you. If you show too bad, they ain't gonna fight you. They always use that age thing. Larry, you're 44 years old, it's like on a double edge, like Tommy Morrison said. You fight and beat Larry, you beat old man, you fight and lose, you lose to old man. The point is, they scatter me. They are afraid to fight Larry Holmes because they gotta put it all on the line because they know that I'm not one of those fighters that come out and just lay down for them.
The victory was sweet, but it came with a painful price, which may affect tonight's bout.
My hand's pretty good. It's not 100%, but you know, I think it's okay for this fight here. I broke it when I fought my last fight here on USA, when I fought Rivaldo. And I broke it around the 6 or 7 rounds, whatever it was. But then it healed, and I went back into training to fight in February. Then I re-injured it. So I just took off and let it heal a little bit more. Now, here I am.
Larry desperately wants a shot at WBC heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis. His current ranking at number 7, he says, is unjust and political.
If I were getting the credit I deserve, I would be probably number 3 to number 4. I mean, how can you rate a guy like Joe Hip over Larry Holmes? I mean, I had 64 fights, I lost 4 times. Joe Hip had 20-some fights and lost to Bert Cooper a couple of times, and lost to Tommy Morrison. I mean, you know, it's all political. We all know what boxing is, and who you know, it ain't what you know anymore. It's who you know, and apparently I don't know anybody. Apparently I might not have anybody working for me on my behalf to make these so-called boxing experts realize that Larry Holmes still can fight. Larry Holmes is still the best fighter out there today. And if they really want to get rid of Larry Holmes to prove that to me and to the world that I can't fight, is to put one of these young tigers, lions, 10 men I call them, on me. And if I can't beat one of those, I gotta go.
No one would classify Garing Lane as a young lion, although he is 14 years Holmes Jr. But Lane has shown occasional power and can give Holmes trouble. In his last fight against rising star Jeremy Williams, the freight train took Williams into the 12th before being derailed. If he's to pull off the upset tonight, he has to control the Holmes jab.
Well, it's fact that Larry Holmes has a jab, but it's mere fact that a jab, basically what it does is it sets up for other things to happen. And at the time when I'm fighting Larry, I can't sit back and let him dictate, let him pace, let him use his jab. So therefore, I must get underneath that jab. I must be somewhat of a more or less like a Tyson fighter. I must get in on top of him and press him in order for me to have a chance to win this fight.
I think any fighter that you get in there with is dangerous, especially when they want to prove something. Gary Lane ain't got nothing to lose. He got everything in the world to gain. So therefore, if he comes out and takes me out, you know, he's right back in the picture because he beats the name. He's doing something the other fighters wouldn't do, fight me.
As far as I'm concerned, boxing is just like Russian roulette, you know, and somebody's got to get burned. I'm at the state now, I'm tired of getting burnt. I done been burnt enough. Now it's over with. It's my time.
Awaiting the arrival of Larry Holmes, who has recently talked more about a permanent retirement, but says that so far no one has been able to prove to him that at age 44, he still doesn't belong in the ring. So he continues to fight, hoping for another opportunity. And they've got the lights and the smoke out here tonight at Foxwoods Casino for the former champ. There he is, Larry Holmes.
And also his favorite song, Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Wants to regain the championship of the world.
Rated number 7 by the WBC. And his son, Larry Jr., in front of him, bringing his father up into the ring. First down some steps and then across. these great facilities here at Foxwoods Casino. There's the smile. Larry seems very relaxed. A lot of the bitterness that we used to see in Larry Holmes fighting for so long in the shadow of Muhammad Ali seems gone. His attitude is one of contentment. So now let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Larry Holmes, 44, 14 years older than Garing Lane, who comes in at 255. And you see Holmes with the 8-inch reach advantage. Connecticut rules in effect tonight. Standing 8 count, 3 knockdown rule. You can be saved by the bell in the last round only. And of course, 10-point must system. 3 judges will score at ringside. How does this one stack up? Well, here's a look at Sean's blackboard.
Brought to you by Pringles Potato Chips, tonight's boxing blackboard. Former heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes. As strengths, you have one of the best ever. A great jab, Larry. Steer with it. And you can get a KO if you don't force it. You're fantastic when you vary the intensity on your punches. Your weakness is standing flat-footed now without punching. And when you're supposed to beat your adversary, you sometimes get bored. Try to stay focused against Garing Lane. Like Everett Bigfoot Martin, your strength is just that. You're strong. Build is low to the ground and solid, and smothering your opponent's punch. And your weakness, too much defense, which causes you to freeze. And that could be as a result of a fatal boxing disease, SPS, sparring partner syndrome.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials assigned by the commission for the next bout of the evening. The judges are Robert O'Brien, William Hutt, and Steve Epstein. Your referee is Frank Cappuccino. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boxing fans, Banner Promotions with Art Palulo, the promoter, and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers, presents the main event of the evening, featuring 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing, in the red corner, fighting out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, weighing in at 255 pounds, with a professional record of 11 wins, 10 defeats, 1 draw, and 5 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Garing Lane. And in the blue corner, from Easton, Pennsylvania, he weighed in at 241 and 1/2 pounds. His professional record consists of 59 wins, 4 defeats with 40 KOs. He is a former heavyweight champion of the world and is called the Easton Assassin, Larry Holmes.
Good evening, gentlemen. You were both given your instructions. Both of you touch gloves now. Go back to your corner, please.
Frank Cappuccino with a dramatic pause during those pre-fight instructions.
Yeah.
There's Garing Lane, 11-10, 1 knockout, ranked number 26 by the WBC. And of course, familiar look of Larry Holmes. He started this comeback 3 years ago, won 6 straight, including that upset over Ray Mercer. That set up a title shot with Evander Holyfield. He lost that, but remained convinced after that fight that he could still do it in the ring. And we're underway here at Foxwoods, our main event. Of course, Holmes, the world's dominant heavyweight from the mid-70s through the early 80s. He defended his world title that he won from Ken Norton 17 times before eventually losing it to Michael Spinks. He lost that disputed rematch with Spinks, and of course was blown out by Mike Tyson in 4 rounds in January of '88. Set out for 3 years after the Tyson loss before coming back, and a lot of people just think that in spite of his age, that Holmes is filling a void in the heavyweight division, and that is due to the lack of talent.
Yeah, including him, and that's one of the reasons he is here. Now, with the loss to Mike Tyson, now Tyson's away, so Larry Holmes, he continues his career. He said in that Tyson fight He said Mike was catching me at the right time. I'd just been off 16 months, and I had just lost my title. Two title fights that he thinks he won against Michael Spinks.
Started back up the ladder after the Holyfield fight. Very active. He won 5 fights last year, but realizes the time is slipping away.
Yes.
So in a sense, 2 opponents tonight. One of them is Lane, of course, and the other is the calendar. And that's one of the reasons that Holmes has been so active.
Well, Garing Lane has certainly been active. In this fight, he wants to be more active with his punches. You saw him in December of last year against Jeremy Williams. He laid back in that fight, got knocked out or stopped in the 12th round, but laid back and allowed for Jeremy Williams to outspeed him, something that he says he's not going to do tonight. And you see him move in, see him duck underneath that jab, move in and hit that body. That's what he needs to do all night long. But that is coming directly from the corner man that he brought in for this fight, Eddie Fudge. You know, you move in, you slide it. And here's a kid in Lane who has not had the confidence of a big-time fighter. He's not had the confidence because he's been thrown in. Now he has some confidence in his corner.
So this is really a crossroads fight for Garing Lane. If he wins, it could set up a shot at a contender, get him on the fast track to a title shot, but a loss would confirm his journeyman status, and that would make it tough for anyone to take him seriously as a contender.
Well,
and frankly, not one of your more overwhelming physical specimens. At 250, he's a guy with a quick smile. He's got a good chin, a lot of endurance despite the weight. But most people say he doesn't have a punch that you can respect.
Not overwhelming, but overweight. Garing Lane.
Nearing the end of round number 1. We are scheduled for 10. There is Eddie Futch.
Where's the bill? Give me the buck. All right. Give me the mouthpiece. Be a little quicker. You want to start to try and put combinations together. If you grab, just pull down and make him hold you up.
That is experience talking. Eddie Futch, been around boxing some 50 years. Eddie Futch used to spar with Joe Louis. Joe loved working with him because he liked to pick up some of the speed that Eddie Futch possessed in St. Louis. Great boxing man. And he liked what he saw in that first round. I think that was Garing Lane's busiest round ever in his pro career. That first round, Garing Lane was moving in behind his punches like he should have been doing throughout his career. If you're built like Garing Lane, there's only one type of boxing that you should do. That is form boxing. Put your head right there on your opponent's chest and pound away at the body. When Holmes ties up, he ties up your head. He doesn't tie up your hands, your arms. When you have those hands free, hit the body. You know, Larry Holmes came out that first round, unlike I've seen him a lot in his comeback. With Revolta, it was different. He was fired up. It looked as though he was fired up in the first round because he had a glisten of sweat on his body, a little glow, a shine. That because they got him in the dressing room, they warmed him up, and they said, hey, you have to take this serious. If you don't, nobody else will.
Garing Lane knows that this is maybe at age 30 his last opportunity. The crowd beginning to boo as Larry Holmes just stays on the corner.
Yeah,
and lets Garing Lane just kind of flail away. Obviously, Holmes not respecting the punch.
Yeah, Holmes using the rope-a-dope. The rope-a-dope made famous by Muhammad Ali in the George Foreman fight. Well, that was Larry Holmes' sparring partner and his idol.
Garing's 2 sisters and brother are here tonight, and they're not liking this as Larry Holmes gets a burst of energy from the crowd, firing the combinations, and now we're back to the same old story. Larry leaning back in the corner, that uppercut connected. Under a minute remaining, round number 2.
And these shots just took all the steam out of Lane. Look at Garing's punches now compared to before he got hit with those punches. Look, you hit a guy in the chin, and it'll just take the steam right out of his shots. Lane's got to get back to that freight train. More boxing.
He's been in against some quality opponents. He lost a close decision to Riddick Bowe. Their first fight, he had Bowe hurt in the second round before losing. He was knocked out by Bowe in the fourth round of their second fight, but he had a big win over Alex Garcia, and that sort of jump-started his career.
Yeah, big win is right. He said with a left hook, that Garing Lane's best punch. There is a left hook from Lane right to the body of Holmes. You got to stay downstairs to the body on Holmes. He's too tall to go upstairs, and he's too elusive. Great movement.
Some water in there, dude. Grease in my hand, Lee.
You beat out of him and do what you want to do. Right. The longer this motherfucker's in there, the braver he gets. Okay. Don't give it which is the show. The show is seeing you. Okay?
Not a lot of action in that second round, but a great combination from Larry Holmes when he came out of the corner just to send a message to Garing Lane. Lane actually showing some quickness to get underneath of those left hands. But the crowd really booed as the bell sounded. They want to see more action from Larry Holmes. I think Garing Lane would like to see less action. 30 years old, he's ranked number 26 by the WBC. Came in tonight at 250 plus. Larry Holmes. We asked Holmes if he was surprised that at age 44 he's still ranked in the top 10 at number 7, and you might have heard him earlier. He said that actually I think I should be higher, number 3 or 4. He's just waiting for one of these young kids to come along and beat him,
Sean, just back him up
knock him into retirement. That young kid may not be Garing Lane. In spite of the presence of the legend, Eddie Futch, Garing Lane's corner.
Step back. Come on out. Come on out.
But Lane trying to make a fight of it. And Holmes just really tying him up, stepping back, using that jab when he has to. He's thrown 3 or 4 combinations, but basically has been very quiet. And Sean has gone over to the Holmes corner. He's standing by with Eddie Futch. Sean?
Eddie Futch, I've never seen this good of a start from Garing Lane. What did you tell him?
I told him that I wanted him to get off fast and get off first, try to work Larry's body, make Larry hustle. Make Larry hustle, make him work. And that about the 5th to 6th rounds, those legs would begin to feel it.
Yeah, definitely feel old. You do that. Do you think Larry is just trying to rope-a-dope here?
Yes, I think so.
How do you defend against that?
Well, I wanted Gary to pull out just a little bit. He was a little close to Larry. He wasn't able to get his weight into his punches that close. I said, you're laying on Larry. Step back, keep your weight balanced on your own feet, and stay low, and go with your shots from the distance where you can really get your body into it.
I see him thumping the tub a lot here early. Is that from you?
Well, I didn't. Yeah, but that's right. Working the body will help to slow Larry down.
You're right. It's still a long fight. Yeah. Thank you very much, Eddie Futch. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great stuff.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. There you see the time remaining, round number 3. Pretty much the same story as our first 2 rounds. Holmes content to lay back, let Garing Lane throw some punches, and then Holmes will come out of his shell and fire back. But Lane has connected a couple of times. Of course, the other possibility is that people stop wanting to see Larry Holmes fight. And basically, you saw the reaction when he came into the ring. People still are interested in this man at age 44.
I bell.
packed house at Foxwoods Casino, and thus far a pretty dissatisfied group through 3 rounds at the performance of Larry Holmes. And meanwhile, Eddie Futch with the instructions in the corner between rounds, telling Garing Lane not to let Larry Holmes rest. And saying to go in underneath his punches. Meanwhile, Holmes comes out now on his toes.
This is a different fighter than those first 2 rounds. Look at the movement from Larry, using the jab outside.
Holmes still has the quick jab, despite the age. He just doesn't have a lot to bring behind it.
Yeah, this is the 4th round. That is the best jab in boxing today. Larry Holmes, even when he was fighting, that was an Ali jab. That was just an outstanding weapon. That is the way he beat his idol, Muhammad Ali. That fight back in October of 1980. Wow. Seems ages ago. And Larry Holmes was 211 pounds for that fight. He stopped Ali in the 11th. Playing with the crowd. Ali using the rope. Holmes using the rope-a-dope, like Ali.
Sean mentioned that Garing Lane really made a pretty good living as a sparring partner. And the reason that people like him is that he can take a punch and he has good stamina. That, by the way, was a pretty good combination.
Takes one right there. Yeah, takes one right there.
In fact, Lane has only been knocked down twice in his career. In the second fight with Riddick Bowe, and then, of course, the last bout with Jeremy Williams. Up-and-coming young heavyweight.
Oh, yeah, good-looking young tiger, Jeremy Williams. Forum boxing. You know, between rounds, Garing was complaining about Holmes coming wide with his punches. Once again, reiterating, Eddie Futch just said, get on his chest and throw punches. You got to fire back. With this form boxing, the way that you beat those fighters that use that is you throw that uppercut on the inside. You see that weapon from Holmes? There it is. Right on the inside. They're leaning over asking for it. Garing Lane has to stay downstairs in the body. There it is. Right down to the body.
Stop punching both of you. Stop.
Stepping back now. 30 seconds remaining in round number 4. This, quite frankly, has not been thus far one of boxing's golden moments.
No, and this fight looks even slower because of that fast match that we saw last time. In the last bout, Marcos Pacheco, Eric Griffin fought toe-to-toe every round. Very quick punches. These punches look slow in comparison.
Nearing the end of round number 4, we're scheduled for 10. Foxwoods Casino at the Mashantucket Pequot Indian Nation Reservation. Larry Holmes and Garing Lane. Holmes 44, ranked number 7 by the WBC. And basically, this has been the story of the fight, has laid back and let Lane take a few shots, come out of his shell, thrown the combination, and gone back in. And the crowd here not very satisfied with his performance thus far. Oh, succession of left hands connecting. Garing Lane, who has only 1 knockout, or 5 knockouts, check that, in his 22 pro bouts. And now Sean O'Grady over in the Larry Holmes corner. Sean?
Cliff, how's he doing?
He's doing very well right now. He's enjoying himself. He sees everything. You know, we just want him to get the stick working a little more.
Is he complaining about anything?
Nah, no, he doesn't say anything.
Does he feel the influence in the other corner of Futch?
Nah, he just might be a little disappointed because Mr. Futch said he'd never work against him, but no big problem.
You know, this is the best I've ever seen Garing Lane look. Is Larry worried about that?
No, we have guys that are working on our camp that's a lot bigger than he is and stronger.
Larry expected this kind of fight. What does the future have for Larry?
Well, I don't know, except whatever he decides.
What do you think he's going to do here?
Well, if nothing comes up, maybe he'll quit. We don't know that, but it's whatever he decides. You know.
Trying to make him punch himself out, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well,
Step back.
maybe.
Okay, Cliff. Good luck to you guys.
All right, thanks.
Let's go back to Bill.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. There's a reason that Larry Holmes is over in the corner. You might have heard him. He leaned over and said, "Hi, Eddie," speaking to Eddie Futch, and then proceeded to wail away the best action of the bout, just target practice on Garing Lane, and now steps back. But he acknowledged the presence of Eddie Futch. Garing Lane so far outclassed by the 44-year-old Holmes. Not able to do much damage. Holmes dropping the hands easily. Doesn't really seem to fear Lane's punches. Lane said he wanted to fight this one like Mike Tyson. He wanted to smother Larry Holmes. Well, Holmes has let him do that, but he has fired right back and is leading this fight.
Hey, Eddie! All right, both of you step back. You're doing nothing. Look at that, Eddie.
When Larry Holmes realizes when he beats Garing Lane, it'll be because he beats Eddie Futch. See him lean out the corner and talk to Eddie Futch? That was between that 5th and 6th round. It was in the 5th round where Larry Holmes was leaning over the ropes, over in the corner of Eddie Futch, Bell Torrance, Joe Wright, Garing Lane. But to beat Lane, you got to beat that corner. And Eddie Futch will not give up easily.
But unfortunately, it's not Eddie Futch in the ring. It's Garing Lane, and Lane is game enough, but he just doesn't seem to have the skills to threaten Larry Holmes.
Look at the slap on the inside, just a little white there. And see where the referee is? Larry knows what's going on in the ring. He sees where the referee is. He knows he can see him.
Well, that left hand from Garing Lane got in and drew a reaction from the crowd. So Holmes quickly out of the corner, not playing, now flicking out the jab. I think that might have hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, this is the best I have ever seen Garing Lane. How much confidence can do for a fighter.
All right, stop.
Good body punches.
Come on out. Come on out. Come on out.
In a 10-round fight like this, you gotta stay on that body early. Especially with somebody like Holmes.
One more time. Get back. Come on.
You can move the head, you can't move the body. You hit the body and the head will fall. Good punch upstairs. And those head shots are probably landing because all the body shots that landed earlier for Garing Lane.
Holmes with the hands way down.
Yeah, but that's been him. Look at him move that head. He doesn't worry about keeping the hands up by his face. His head is so fast. And he's got that great left jab.
Just leaning on each other right above us. Holmes looking the combination. Oh, yeah. Lane attempts to answer, barrels forward.
Oh, and you got to give him credit. Look at him, and still in there punching. Does this look like a 44-year-old man? Larry Holmes, good shape, still knows how to fight. Look at that jab. Pretty talking.
Just toying now with Garing Lane.
You hear some boos from the crowd. The crowd doesn't like that talking. The crowd likes the fighting. Giving more room this round, Garing Lane. You can bet he'll hear it from Eddie Futch between rounds.
All right, Cliff. Let's go. Let's keep it. It's all right. It's all right.
That's what you do. Relax yourself and have a good time.
Oh, this is experience. Look at the distance Garing Lane has given him. He's looking over the corner, draw the attention away from himself, and then he scores. That's only experience. And the inexperience of Lane allowing him to do it. Look at the distance between the two now. Lane was frustrated. When he went back to his corner, he was very upset. Giving too much room, and he knows it. And look at how he comes out the first part of this round. He heard it from Eddie Fudge between rounds. They say, get in this man's face.
Of course, the big reach advantage for Larry Holmes, and
he knows it.
Garing Lane has been unable to get inside and take the fight to Holmes as he'd hoped to do when he talked to us yesterday.
8-inch reach advantage. Larry Holmes has an 81-inch reach, the same as Muhammad Ali. Garing Lane, a 73-inch reach. Now reach is fingertip to fingertip.
Well, if you're sitting at home and you're wondering why Holmes is not going in against someone else ranked in the top 10, he says no one will fight him.
Yeah.
Because nobody has anything to gain by fighting me. If they beat me, they beat an old man. And so really, it doesn't help your career, and he says people are still afraid of him.
I would say that is a valid assessment. He's still very marketable, though. Former champion, big name, he's busy, and he's controversial.
But is he a dangerous fighter still, Sean? I don't really see that. Other than the jab, I don't see much behind that.
He's dangerous outside the ropes, though. He's dangerous because he's a rebel. He won't sign long-term contracts. He says what is on his mind, and we've heard him many times get himself in trouble because of that. And the man can really fight.
Saw him shout over to Eddie Fudge again. Now he's got the arms way down. He realizes that even at 44, he's so much quicker than Garing Lane.
Yep. And that jab. That jab. You got to get Garing Lane out at the end of your punches. Garing not rushing in like he was in the first couple of rounds. Not downstairs on the body like he was in the first couple of rounds, because he's out there too far. He gets disgusted. Garing Lane has a lot of pride. He wants to win these fights, but he gets disgusted because he's in there with a former heavyweight champion of the world. He doesn't know how to fight him. He doesn't know the maneuvers.
Under 30 seconds remaining in round number 7, and as we said, Garing is really a nice kid, and he's got an easy smile despite the menacing look. You look at his face and the eyes narrowing as he tries to approach Holmes, but he's really a nice guy. You almost want him to do well, but he just doesn't seem to have the skills to match up with even the 44-year-old edition of Larry Holmes.
Nice kid, tough kid, a nice smile, but he's missing a tooth right in the front. He said that he got hit by a police car when he was 11 years old, and the police car died. The policeman got out and said, hey, you killed my car. Larry Holmes, very good round for him.
Let's listen into the corner.
He's on top, man.
Every time you stick it out. This eye.
Let him keep eating all day long.
You get a chance, a beautiful right, short uppercut, and it's good night.
Look up, Grease.
You know, you take a look at the top 10 WBC heavyweights, where Larry is now rated. I think he is competitive and beats many of these fighters. Oliver McCall, Lennox Lewis, of course, the champion, Tony Tucker, number 2, Lionel Butler, number 3, who Larry has wanted to fight, and that fight has not materialized because of Butler's end. Phil Jackson, Joe Hip, Corey Sanders. I think Larry is competitive with each one of these fighters, and he beats many of them. Those fighters, though, this is the log jam that has been caused in this sport of boxing. Those fighters want to hold out and get a title fight because that's where the money is. Not with fighting Larry Holmes, it's with fighting the champion. You saw Alex Garcia risk it all on USA. He was up to number 3 contender in the world when he fought Mighty Mike Dixon. He got knocked out in the second round and lost a big money payday. Well, the other fighters don't want to do that.
Now you look down the road for Holmes, he says that a rematch with Holyfield isn't in the offing, hoping for a shot at Lennox Lewis, the WBC champion, but what he'd really like to do is fight George Foreman in one last big bout for both guys. And I mean that, I guess, literally and figuratively. But he says that really hasn't gone anywhere, but he would love to fight Foreman. 2 minutes remaining in round number 8.
Well, he followed Muhammad Ali in his first career and finally defeated him. Followed George Foreman in his comeback career and would like to do the same with that. He's having fun. For Larry Holmes, this is right now what he lives for, his career. What do you do for an encore when you've been the heavyweight champion of the world?
Continues to contend that he's financially secure. He doesn't need the money. And you ask him point blank, why are you in the ring? And he said, because nobody can get me out of there.
And he loves it. And what else can he do to command the kind of money that he makes in boxing? He is a successful businessman. He owns a property completely paid for in Eastern Pennsylvania, leased to the federal government. It's a $5 million building. So he's not boxing for the money.
Lane connected with the left hand, but then Holmes just grabs him by the back of the head and fires the uppercut and then bombs the right hand.
Yeah, a lot in that shell. A lot of the sparring partner syndrome now. Earlier we saw a Garing Lane who was more aggressive, performed boxing, getting on top of Holmes, a different fighter, a fired up Garing Lane. But now it appears to be back in that shell. Back in that shell because Holmes put him there.
There you see the time remaining in the 8th round. Neither fighter has been hurt. Holmes started slowly, has been more active in the last few rounds. And that is the end of round number 8. We are scheduled for 10. Bill McAtee along with the champ Sean O'Grady. We're at Foxwoods Casino near Ledyard, Connecticut. Larry Holmes continuing his comeback, fighting tonight against Garing Lane. We are in round number 9. And actually this has been the reverse of a lot of the Holmes fights. Generally starts quickly since the comeback and then sort of fades in the final few rounds and hangs on. Actually has been fairly impressive with the jab, but not much else. Well, tonight, he started very slowly and has come on in the last few rounds, much more active. And that left made a lot of noise, but I don't think it did much damage. Neither fighter's been hurt.
Not to us. It done some damage to Garing Lane. It didn't hurt me.
And Garing Lane continues to move forward.
That right hand. And Garing Lane is a Timex fighter. He takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Knows only one direction, right straight ahead. Between rounds, Eddie Futch telling him, when you go in, don't go in so far. You're going in so far that you don't punch. Go in just enough to where you throw your punches. Right now he's going in, but see what Holmes is doing? Holmes taking that half step back, keeping the same distance between the two. See him take a step back, sets up, and then he unloads. Some of the tape now coming loose on the right glove of Holmes.
Well, remember, Eddie Futch just came in for this fight. He hasn't really had much opportunity to work with Lane, so I don't know that if you can fix bad habits that out of the fight.
But I would agree with that, Bill. However, this is a different Garing Lane than we saw those first 3 rounds. The first 3 rounds, I know he was getting beat, but he was trying like he had never tried recently.
Lane continuing to move forward. Covers up. He's content to let Holmes take his shots. We've talked a lot about how Holmes doesn't seem to respect Lane's punching power, but I don't think Lane is too afraid of Larry Holmes. He certainly does not hesitate. Great combination there from Holmes, but Lane stands back up straight, shakes it off, continues the movement. His hands are down, and Holmes really now connecting at will.
Yeah, Larry is an outstanding finisher. He can see his opponent's weaknesses inside the rope. If they are ready to go, Larry Holmes finishes the show. How many times did we see him on the canvas only to come back and knock his adversary out? Or behind him in scorecards, only to pull out the big punch when he needed it. He's got great power, but his power is not early. It's not a forced power. It's a power that usually comes late in the fight, and it's a snap, stinging power.
Larry Holmes, one more round to go against Garing Lane. So, Sean, the fact that Holmes can beat a lot of guys in the top 10, does that say much for the heavyweight division, or is it simply that the talent is diluted because of all the organizations?
Well, I think number one, you have to take into account that right there, that was a great fighter back in his heyday. And I know his heyday is not today, but he still is competitive. The sport has not grown very much since Larry Holmes was the champion of the world. That's evident. Now Larry's in the top 10, and he's competitive. He will be competitive with anybody in the top 10. So I think it's a combination of both, a little bit of both. Larry Holmes being very good, and the sport not progressing as much as it should.
Look at Larry Holmes' eyes. It's almost like he's looking for the knockout.
Yeah, when he saw what went on the last round. That last round was a testing round. And he realizes this is it. If he's going to get a knockout, it can come this round. Of course, Lane stopped in the last round of his last fight. TKO by 12.
Get him loose. Get him loose. Come on out of there.
Larry talking to Eddie Fudge. On the inside like that, Garing's got a punch. I've got Garing way behind. Uh-oh.
Trying to get anything going. That overhead right got in. But Holmes just goes underneath, now talking to Eddie Fudge.
Yeah, talking to Eddie Fudge, and also talking to see those people laughing back there. Maybe Larry's doing a stand-up routine.
Halfway through round number 10.
You know, he is doing that to Fudge, but I can tell you, he has all kinds of respect for Eddie Fudge. He's doing this as a show. Garing Lane, not Eddie Fudge. Oh, good luck with my Lane.
That left got in there.
Payback.
You heard him, he said payback time. Now he flicks a couple of shots, combination. And Lane, another combination.
I think it's payback because Larry
fight Larry's ass.
He taught Eddie Fudge, he said, he taught Eddie Fudge and brought him to another level in boxing when he hired Eddie Fudge for the Ken Norton fight. I believe that's what he is making reference to. But I can tell you, Eddie Fudge has been around a lot longer than Larry has.
Well, Garing Lane has the heart, not the ability.
Yep.
Larry Holmes still at age 44, too quick. And tomorrow, if you're in the office talking about why is Larry Holmes fighting, he still has a gut, he shouldn't be out there. The fact is, there is nobody yet that has chased Larry Holmes from boxing in the ring.
But he's changed his mind.
And there you see the time remaining. This one is over. And somewhat anticlimactic. The crowd booing. They just don't feel that Larry put his whole heart into it when he's boxing and carrying on a conversation with Eddie Fudge. So we await the decision, and certainly what we expect will be unanimous. And it's time for tonight's Power Punch, which is brought to you by Budweiser. Fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your Bud. And our Power Punch tonight from Eric Griffin in the 6th round as he regained his NABF light flyweight title from Marcos Pacheco. Foxwoods Casino, and Larry Holmes apparently will get his 60th professional victory very easily. Now let's send it up to our ring announcer, Chuck Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the decision of the judges. We have a unanimous decision Judge Steve Epstein scores the bout 98-92. Judge Robert O'Brien scores 99-91. And Judge William Hutt scores 99-91 for the winner by unanimous decision, Larry Holmes.
So Larry Holmes continues to win, and there you see his record, 60-4, a unanimous decision over Garing Lane, who is now even up at 11-11.